Hi everybody, this is Darren with Save the Panel, and we have an extra special treat today. Our friends at Zooz were gracious enough to send us a prototype or sample for beta testing of a brand new device that is scheduled to be released in April, which is the Zen 12 Motion Dimmer. So this is a uh, dimmer switch, 800 LR. There you see it, it's a Zen 12. And it has a push button, up-down buttons for dimming, a light sensor, as well as a PIR motion sensor here. And honestly, I'm not sure if that's right side up or that's right side up, but we'll figure that out as we go along here. And what I'm going to do here with this Zen 12 are two things, really, two different videos. Today's video, we're going to attach this, like we have in other videos, to the IQ4 panel, to Home Assistant, and also to the Z-Box, and see how it works, see what its features are like, look at its parameters, and just do some really quick testing here on the bench. But for the second video, we're going to do a review after I've had this installed in my house for a couple of weeks. And we're going to put it in a high traffic area, see how it really performs, and report back to everyone. So for now, let's get this device on the bench, get it tested, review the specs, and on with part one. Okay, so I have the Zen 12 wired up here. It is connected to that bulb right there labeled Zen 12. And we don't have it joined to Z-Wave yet, we just have power on it. But let's take a look at the device's default behavior. I saw a couple of neat things as I was setting this up. And look, the motion sensor works. It sensed me here and it turned on the light bulb already. But let's take a closer look at the switch. Okay, well, the first thing I noticed is it has a light on by default in the center when when the light is off, and if we have some motion, and I wonder if I think I've been too close to it. It probably has a cool off timer, but it will turn on. I just turned it off a second ago, so it's probably mad at me. There we go. So it did. So the light's on. The LED is off when the load is on. Kind of standard, I would believe. These buttons are um, dimming up and down, and you can see as you hold that down, there's a little progress indicator of how dim you are, and the light is indeed dimming and getting brighter as you hold that down. I thought that was kind of neat. And of course, off and on here, which does have, it's supposed to have scene control, but I am curious if we dim the light halfway and do a double tap, it does go to full brightness, much like some other Zooz products, so that's awesome. The other thing is I mounted it in the switch box this way because the DSK sticker was upside right, but I did notice in the directions that come with this, they have the device oriented the other way with the button on the top and the motion sensor on the bottom. So I might actually have this upside down, but we're just going to go with this for now. I did see in the parameters, a little sneak peek, that the action of these buttons can be reversed. So I think they were wanting to accommodate the fact that you could orient this switch in either direction. As far as what is here at the very top, this is the lux sensor. This is the motion sensor, dimming up and down, LED progress bar or LED bar, um, and on-off switch. I believe at the bottom here, this may be an air gap, and it does seem to be an air gap. I pulled it, we lost power, and putting it in, it gained power. And you can see it did a little cycle through its LED colors as it booted, and it booted with the light on. I believe that that is its normal behavior. I'm going to simulate a power failure. Okay, so now we have a power failure, and I'll wait a few seconds and turn the power back on. Now note that that light was originally off, um, and it did remember the state. It stayed off. So seems to be pretty solid so far. So let's dig into the next step. So as I said, this Zen 12 is a pre-production device. So literally, Zooz sent me the device in a box without any paperwork insert that you would normally see. So I reached out to Zooz and asked, do they have any materials, and more specifically, do they have a listing of the advanced parameters? And they very quickly sent me both. So I published those up on our site, discussion.savethepanel.com. And if you were to search for Zen 12, you'll find that we do have the manual and advanced parameter listings here available for you guys to download and take a look at. So let's review those now. Ever so, I'll try to be brief. I know I talk too long when it comes to review of this stuff, but the devil is in the details, and I do believe that the parameters really do unlock the key to what these devices really can bring to the table. But as far as the Zen 12 itself, it does have built-in motion and lux sensors, as we had mentioned earlier. Works with LED lights up to 150 watts, incandescent up to 500 watts. And for those familiar with smart switches, those are fairly common limitations. Adjustable sensor settings, has Z800 series Z-Wave and LR. It does have direct three-way. So this can be wired with dumb three-way switches in a multi-way scenario. And actually on the bottom here, they include some wiring diagrams, which is great. And that's the feature that some of us really love with Zooz, especially things like the Zen 76. Has that feature, doesn't require rewiring, and the other switch boxes can be very handy. Scene control, so we can do multi-tap trigger actions on the button. Has smart bulb mode as well, and it remembers the on-off status after power failure, which we just saw a minute ago as well. Motion sensor detection is up to 25 feet. Operating temperatures 32 to 104. I see that I think Zooz uses this for almost all their devices. But I do know some of their devices I have in much colder temperatures at times, and they continue to work pretty well. Yeah, mileage may vary, of course, with this device. Thinking about using it in a garage that's unheated, your mileage may vary depending on how cold your garage gets, for instance. What is interesting to read is the default behavior here. The motion dimmer will automatically turn on the light it controls when motion is detected. It'll automatically turn off the light after 30 seconds from the last detected motion event. Wait 1 minute after power up for the motion sensor to warm up before it starts detecting activity. If you'd like to change the behavior, you can adjust the advanced settings, which there's an awful lot, and we'll talk about those in just a second. And as far as wiring on the back, we have load, line, neutral, a traveler, and a ground connection. And yes, it does have pre-wired pigtails, does not have screw terminals on the back. Um, the device is ETL certified. However, as you may have noticed, the pre-production model I have has no embossing or writing on the bezel plate at all. I think that's probably just because of it being a beta sample. I'm sure when this thing goes to production, it'll have the normal embossings and markings on that front plate. And there's, of course, all the other good info here, which feel free to download and read that manual at your leisure. Now, if we go over to the advanced parameter listing, what was very cool about this is they sent me this as an Excel file. And I'm going to open it here in Google Sheets, but we can certainly download this as Excel. I kind of like this format almost better than their typical knowledge base article format for parameters. I may reach out to the folks over there and see if I could get parameter listings like this for all their devices. I really prefer the Excel format. And you can see here you get a full description, a short description, the label of what that parameter is, its various values, default value, byte size, range, etc. I think this is great info, and really appreciate this format. Rather than go through this entire list, which would take lots of time, and I know you can download it and read on your own, there are 46 configurable parameters that cover the gambit. And in a second, I'll just throw up a slide to talk about the areas that can be customized. But the most interesting parameter of all, I believe, is this one. This is the LED indicator brightness level is configurable between 1 and 100%. And why this is a big deal, at least to me, is if any one of you is following the Zooz community forum, there was a thread there requesting exactly this, requesting the ability to set the LED indicator at a much more customized level of brightness. Most of the devices have high, medium, low, and off, basically. And we realized that for some devices, low is just not low enough. If anyone's got a Zen32 or Zen35 and has it on low and it's in a bedroom, you probably know, like I know, that that is a pretty bright LED. And depending on the angle of where it's installed, I had a guest in my house in the guest bedroom, and she's like, I could do shadow puppets against the wall based on the LED brightness. So I actually set a parameter and turned her LEDs off in her room just so I didn't have to hear about that. But it is a great thing, and we would love to see this particular parameter be across all of the Zooz line to be able to have that ability to very specifically set the LED indicator brightness. Sorry to nerd out on that, but it's something we were pretty excited about. So to summarize the parameters on the Zen12, I created this table. LED controls for status, color, and the color of the LED can be different based on if the load is off versus on. Brightness of the LED control, whether or not it indicates the selection of a scene. I believe that we may be able to use this LED control as a status indicator for other things going on in the smart home. I might do a future video on that. It's just a theory at this point, but I think it could be useful. I know another brand of switches gets a lot of popularity for that ability, and I think we could do the same here. Timer controls such as auto off, auto on, and timer triggers. I mean, basically, these are all the parameters that all of us love in the Zooz product line, especially the Zooz dimmers. They brought all of them in here into this product and then just layered on top of it other parameters that would make sense since you have a lux and motion sensor in the device. So button and load control, so the way you control behavior, ramp rate, dimming speed, min, max, brightness, custom brightness on one tap, two tap behavior, scene control behavior, the night light feature, which is also a very popular a dimmer feature, at least here in my house, and button orientation. So you can swap dim down versus dim up. So as I may have mentioned, I think I actually mounted this upside down in the box here on my bench, but that's okay because with that parameter you can mount it either direction, whichever way you prefer, which is great. Lux sensor, things like day and night mode. So Z-Wave devices don't have a concept of time. They don't support NTP or anything like that to synchronize a clock. So the way the sensor knows, I should say the dimmer switch knows that it's day versus night is based on brightness or lux setting, and you can configure what that threshold is. And then lastly, the motion sensor. So you can configure things like motion clear delay, which is how much time elapses after motion stops before an action like turning off the light is taken. Auto off timing after dusk. So after dusk, you can have one setting versus during the day. And of course, a manual override timer for lux and motion. Okay, so let's join the Zen 12 to the Z-Box and see what it looks like. This particular Z-Box has just been reset, so this will be the only device that's in here uh, for this test, but that's fine. Okay, so this is always interesting. So the device has joined to the Z-Box and is being represented by four different entities: a multi-level switch, the remote controller, a light sensor, and a motion sensor. Very nice. So let's go ahead and just give them a name. So here we are. Let's just take a quick look. I'm sure everything here is fairly hunky-dory. Here are all of our parameters, LED color. I wish this would actually represent the color names as opposed to the parameter number, but I do get it. I just changed that to green. I can see green here on the switch, and that looks like it might be magenta or red. Very good. And the brightness is currently at 50%, which is representing here as a 5. The parameter file actually called this 0 to 100, but here it's being represented as 1 to 10. So you see all the parameters here. So one item I noticed here is if we look at the parameter list, as I said, we've got 46 unique parameters. But when it's joined to the Z-Box under the parameter list, we only get returned the first 41 parameters. I'm not sure if this is a firmware issue in this beta product or not, but certainly some parameters do look like they're not configurable. See 41 is actually the gamma factor, so what's missing are these features at the bottom, which would really be handy, right? This is the LED indicator multicolor feature, for instance, and the dimming button orientation. So hopefully this is just a firmware or template issue in the Z-Box, but is worth calling out. So let's take a look at the remote controller. And what's very interesting here is there are 3 buttons on the front of this unit, but if we scroll down, we see that there are actually actions for 4 buttons. I really wonder what the 4th button is. My only thought is I wonder if the 4th button is actually remote scene commands that come from a 3-way switch. That would be very interesting. And here we have the motion sensor, so I will wave my hand above it, and sure enough, it detected motion. This has been great so far. I have to say I've had this installed on my test bench now for almost a week, and as you saw, it's in a box flat on the top of my desk, pointed straight up in the air, and my entrance to my office is about 10 feet to the left of the device. And as I walk into the office, even though I'm really at, the edge of its peripheral vision, so to speak, as soon as I walk in my office, the light comes on. And that's with no advanced configuration settings or anything. It's been 100% reliable. When I walk in the office and it's after dark, the light bulb comes on, as I have it set up. So it's been great so far. I'm extremely impressed with the sensitivity and accuracy of the PIR sensor so far. And then our light sensor here, let's see, we have 128, and I'm sure it'll go down if I turn that bulb off. 103, okay, yep, 77. So that's very responsive. We've reviewed some other light sensors on this channel that were very slow to update, even when tweaking parameters. So out of the box, that's pretty great. So I think that concludes what we're going to look at here in the Z-Box. Let's move forward, take a look at this in Home Assistant and the IQ4 panel. Okay, so here we are in Home Assistant. I've already joined the device to Z-Wave JS UI here, so let's Let's find it. Did I? Oh, here we go. So it does come up with the right name, though the name I hard coded in, I should say, Zen12 Motion Dimmer. But it is an unknown product. Makes sense. It's brand new, pre-production. I'm sure JSUI has no idea what this product is. However, as we look through here, we do have multi-level switch control, multi-level sensor for luminance. Um, let's see, we do have the configuration parameters, and let's see, now these sometimes show up out of order, but again, goes to 41, just like the Z-Box did. So I'm starting to believe that this firmware on this test product just does not have all of the parameters in it. That's totally a guess. We could probably play with that by forcing a parameter here, just for giggles. Why don't we give that a shot? So what we're going to do is one of these on the bottom, which is the dimming button orientation. So the left button dims, the right button increases brightness. So let's, okay, so I did mount it upside down in the box. So let's set 46 to a value of 1 and see if anything really happens. So we want parameter 46 to have a value of 1, and I want to set that. Oh, and the parameter set failed. Wonder if it needs to be signed. No, it fails. So yeah, I don't believe it's in firmware. Is my guess as of just yet. But that's to be expected, I think, in a beta product. Let's see. So brightness is set to 60. If I set brightness target value to 10, indeed my bulb does dim. That's good. What I don't see is the motion sensor being represented here, at least. Let's see what we have here. We do see luminance. Um, luminance is changing as I put my hand over the light sensor, so that's good. But what I'm not seeing is any motion values at all. Let me see about manually turning the light on and off. We do get a multi-level switch value. Let's bring the brightness up a little bit. Okay, you did get the duration of me pressing that button, and yeah, we see the switch values changing. So very curious. So I wonder if I double click, did I get? I'm getting value updates from the multi-level switch, but it does not look like I'm actually getting key presses of the buttons. So this may be too early to really take a look at in Home Assistant, to be honest. But let's go in and try to create an automation. Let's just see what is coming up for this device. Let's create a new automation. Action device. Let's find the Zen12. And let's see what we've got here. So we've got brightness, ping the device, identify, ping, refreshing various values, set the value, Z-Wave value. Oops, didn't mean to click that. Setting various parameters and toggle it and turn off and on. So let's go with turn off. And I'm just going to run that. And indeed it does turn off. But yeah, we don't seem, I'm not sure we have everything we need to have just yet. Let's try this from a trigger perspective. And let's see, we have node status, value change on config parameters. Here we go. Motion detection started and stopped detecting motion. I didn't see that in the log though, but here it is. So let's see. So let's leave that. When you detect motion, let's what are we going to do here? Because it's already going to turn something on. Why don't we do this? Why don't we set a different value. Let's see. Let's change the LED color to parameter 4, which is yellow. Okay, so let's save this. See what we get. So I waved my hand. We do have the light turning on. I'm not sure I actually saw that. There's no traces. Very interesting. Not sure that it is being expressed properly, probably because there's no template in JSUI is my guess, which is why here under events, we're seeing luminance. I'm not sure it knows anything about the motion sensor. So I think until JSUI is updated, my guess is this is going to have some limited capabilities in Home Assistant. Of course, you could use the parameters that are that are inside the device itself to configure motion. You could certainly turn it off and on with Home Assistant, set parameters for LED color and the like, but being able to use the motion sensor as an independent sensor for other things in Home Assistant, we probably will have to wait for JSUI to be updated, is my guess. All right, the time has come for all of you IQ panel and alarm.com enthusiasts. Let's see how this beta Zen 12 does with an IQ4 and the alarm.com ecosystem. So here's our IQ4, there's our Zen 12. This light bulb back here, by the way, is attached. So if I do some motion, there we go. I'm going to turn that off temporarily. But let's, and I apologize for the glare on the screen, but it is what it is. So let's go ahead and join this to the IQ panel. Okay, so it does see it as a light. That is very promising. No errors so far. Let's give it a good name.
Z12 is added to network successfully.
Okay, so we did get it added as a light. Let's see what we have here. System's okay so far. And here's our Zen 12. It does show up as a dimmer. Let's turn it on. And certainly it's on, off. And we'll set our brightness level. And it is dimming. So, all right, looks like we have base functionality, which is fantastic. Now, the IQ4s don't support things like Z-Wave based sensors for motion and light. So I'm really not surprised that we're not seeing that here at all. But one thing we can do is switch over into alarm.com and see if we see it showing up as a remote item, so we can do multi-touch here to control things. Okay, so let's take a look in the alarm.com side of things here, and we can see the Zen 12 has already appeared here under lights and switches. We'll go ahead and we'll turn that on. And look, we do have control, which is very nice. Can we dim? Yep, we can certainly change the brightness of that dimmer. That is, that's cool. And I guess the other thing we could really look for here under automation is remote control. Here's the Zen 12, very nice. That's a nice, interesting error. Could not load a remote diagram, but we seem to be okay that way. So we have button 1, 2, 3, and 4 again. And again, I think button 4 is actually the remote three-way switch trigger, but we'll have to look into that. That's really just a guess on my part. But you know what we have here is we could test this in alarm.com. Why not? Let's see. So we do have this bedroom light here, which if we were to turn that on, that's the other light bulb back there on the, it's hard to see in the camera, but it's actually the other bulb in the back. You know what, let's use a different one. I also have a Zen 52 set up here with 2 little bulbs. There's these 2 little bulbs here. So let me turn on output 2 on a Zen 52. That'd be that little tiny bulb. There we go. So let's set up a scene for that and attach it to the button and just make sure that the remote actually works. So we're going to do a new scene. And we're just going to call this Z52 button 2. And here it is, Z52, output 2. We're going to turn that on. Nice and simple. So then on the remote, Zen12, let's do button 1 press to activate our new scene. And we're going to say, okay, we've got single, double, triple, and held down. So we'll do a double press and say done. And good enough. Okay, so now we've got that automation rule created. Before we can test that automation rule, the remote button press, we do need to set a parameter here to turn on scene control, because scene control is off by default. So we need to set parameter 8 to a value of 1. So let's sign in here to the panel and set that up. And for those of you that don't remember, you have to go in with the installer code and then go to Z-Wave device list, find your device, hit info, and then look for configuration. Did I scroll past it? Configuration, here we go. And here's where you put in your parameter. So this is 8 with a byte length of 1, and a value of 1. And this will turn on scene control. And we had a little flash of the LED over there, so I know that it received that parameter. So now I'm curious, if we do our double press, do we get that little light coming on over there? I don't see it. Just for giggles, I'm going to try the other buttons. Did not see anything. Let's see what we have in activity. Yeah, it looks like it's interpreting the double press only for only purposes of making that bright bulb at full brightness. Even though scene control is enabled on the Zen12, it does not appear to be working in the IQ4 and ADC. So that's unfortunate, but again, this is a beta product, right? So I think as this matures and templates are created, this might be functionality that comes to be one day. But at the moment, it does at least function for the basics of controlling it as a light and as a dimmer. The usefulness is in terms of lux and motion. You can configure the parameters inside the device to be very useful, but unfortunately with IQ4, you won't be able to use lux or motion as independent triggers. One more thing I'd like to see is, can we use direct association at all? And I've not looked at this, but let's give it a try. So if we go in here to Z-Wave devices associations, we have our Zen12. We have our Zen12, and let's see, we do have, basic set for motion and basic set for light. So if we associate that basic set for motion, say to, we're going to do output 1 of the Zen52, for instance, and save that. So in theory, if we have motion, you would think via direct association that might turn on that light. I'm going to attach it to all the good stuff I've got here on the bench, just for giggles. Of course, now I need to wait for motion to reset. Yeah. Okay, so motion did turn the light on that's directly connected, but did not turn on anything that was set through association, unfortunately. So I thought maybe we could have some interesting joy there, but I don't see it. Basic set for light is probably, that would definitely be the light sensor. I suppose we could do basic set itself against the Zen12's light coming on. Let's give that a try. I'm going to attach that to bedroom light, save that, and just so we're not confused, I'm going to take these associations out. Okay. So now, if in theory, if we command that light to turn on, both of these bulbs over here the big bulbs. Let me move my camera up a little bit. You'll see how messy my desk is, and I apologize, but both of those lights should turn on, and uh, and they are not. So yeah, unfortunately with this IQ4, those associations are not working properly, which I have to tell you has happened more times than I can count with certain devices that are just not blessed or a little bit on the fringe of normal here with the IQ4. So we gave it a try, right? But I think, as I said earlier, you've got some basic functionality. It does make it usable in the IQ4 ecosystem, but really just as a dimmer switch. So first of all, I am privileged to be given this beta product by Zooz to take a look at. I really appreciate the uh, confidence they've placed in me to review this product. I would say at this stage, this is extremely promising. The device seems to work very well, have a lot of configurable parameters, as we've seen today. Because it's so new, there are no templates in some of the Z-Wave controllers that we looked at today, but they will certainly come, right, as the product is released and those vendors catch up. We did see some incomplete parameters based on the documentation versus the device, but again, this is version 0 of the firmware, so to speak. So I'm sure that will be rectified once it goes into production. The Z-Box, oddly enough, had the best overall functionality at present. Home Assistant really had some template issues that were preventing some entities from uh, appearing and being usable. The IQ panel really functioned as expected. This is typical for devices that are not fully blessed by Alarm.com and Johnson controls, where associations might be a little fuzzy. Scene controls may or may not actually be expressed, but I believe those are things that might be repaired in the future as well. The presentation of motion or lux sensors into that ecosystem would never happen. It's pretty much a forbidden topic with them at this point. So I think overall this is a great device. I'm very happy that Zooz has this coming out. And stay tuned for part 2 of this video, which will come out in a few weeks. I'm going to pick a location for this in my home, install it, use it for a few weeks, and report back on how it went, what the family acceptance factor was, and all that good stuff. In the meantime, thank you very much for spending all this time with me. We're right at about 30 minutes. This is quite a long video. So for those of you that made it this far, I sincerely appreciate it. Please like, follow, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you have any questions or would like any questions answered about this or any other Z-Wave device in any of these ecosystems, feel free to drop me a line. I'm always happy to put something on the bench and run it through its paces. Thanks again, and I'll see you online.